Hi there, you're watching the Gardens and Graveyards channel. My name is Charisma, and today we're meeting at a cemetery in Newport, Oregon. This is the Eureka Mausoleum, or Eureka Cemetery and Mausoleum in Newport, Oregon. And I used to work here as a manager. I resigned just under a year ago. And right before I resigned, we had a huge ice storm. It was just about a year ago. And I thought it would be fun to give you all an update since the tree crews have been in here all year, trimming trees and checking the health of trees and making sure that they're ready for this winter, and all the storm damage from the previous years have been cleaned up, or at least maintained in a way that it's safe for people to be in the cemetery. So we're just going to drive around, and I'm going to show you a couple of areas. We will throw up some pictures of the damage that was done last year, for those of you who are not following yet or don't remember what it looked like. Yeah, so I'm just going to drive around. This is the Pacific View edition. This is the newest edition of the cemetery. It's all got flat headstones, and it's surrounded by really tall, big evergreen growth, and we had a lot of widowmakers on this lane on the other side here. Widowmakers are limbs that are large enough to fall on a person and kill them at the height that they are and the weight that they are. So we are going to just drive around, look at those pieces, and then we'll pop over to the other side. We'll look at a newer edition, or the second newest edition, and then we'll go into the oldest edition where the most severe damage was. You can see here that these trees have been limbed up. All the broken limbs were removed. They weren't severely damaged, but they did have some broken limbs. There was a lot of broken pieces in our rhododendrons, these plants in the middle, and those obviously have been cleared out as well. So this is the lane that had all kinds of damage. You can see they kind of piled up some of the sticks along the lane. And there's still a few that are kind of hanging low up in that tree there. This plum experienced a ton of damage. I see that they've left it there. I probably would have taken it all the way out, but you know, I guess they're trying to preserve it. They can be resilient. We'll see what it does this spring. I see that there's like another broken piece on it. I just don't I don't know about that. Same with that plum over there, also got pretty damaged. There were a few really large trees that came across the road here that got removed, that fell from the other side of the bank. And then several little saplings along that side had fallen into the road, but they were easy to take care of. You can see we have a little ice here. It's chilly, but it's not, there's no ice like damage on the trees at this point in time. All right, we're gonna pop across the street and see what's going on over there. Also, there were quite a few limbs that came off of these evergreens, and there was a very large tree that fell down on the other side of this field, and you can still see the remnants of it there. in case anybody's wondering, the reason this side of the cemetery is not being in use is because the water table is super high and we cannot put any burials here. We are hoping that in a capital campaign that I'm on the board, by the way. We're putting together a capital campaign, and one of the projects that we want to work on is installing more scattering garden options and contemplation gardens, as well as standalone columbarians. And this would be an ideal place to utilize for those purposes. We are now on the other side of the cemetery. We were just over there. This has a mausoleum. This is the 6th edition that we're driving up to. I just wanted to point out that we have daffodils blooming. Isn't that fun? All right, so this area, you can see we don't have any trees over here, but there was a couple of trees at the bottom of this section that had some significant damage. So we're gonna go down there and see what it looks like. All right, so this tree here had a ton of damage way up high, and it looks really great. There was a lot of debris all around the bottom, and there's still a few branches that are caught up high, but the most dangerous parts have been removed, and as well as this tree over here also had a huge branch come down, and a couple coming straight down this way. For the most part, that's all been cleaned up. I can see that this one right here probably needs to be removed to have, some preventative damage control happen, as well as clean up some of these dead branches here. And there might be a couple on the other side too. Just, to make sure that we don't continue to get more damage. So the insurance company covered a significant amount of the storm damage to have a company come in and trim the trees for us. But and that company was very generous and gifted a lot of their time. So I think they matched the time that the insurance company covered. But the money did run out, so we didn't have enough to cover like all the little tiny details. They mostly just got all the things that were going to cause any kind of harm to the actual cemetery, or the possibility of any kind of danger to people walking around on the cemetery. But we're hoping in the next year that we can gather the funds to continue working on not just the landscape, but the buildings and the roads as well. That's part of the capital campaign. And I'll talk to you guys a little bit more about capital campaigns for cemeteries and nonprofits in a video next week, because I think it is an important piece of information that if you want to support your local cemeteries, you should be aware of. But today we're just looking at storm updates. The wind chill is really cold. Also, it's windy, so I hope that the audio isn't horrible. So we're gonna go up to the oldest edition where the most significant damage was, and it's still really sad to see, but it's also really hopeful, because that tree's been here for a very, very long time, at least 100 years, and it is still standing, and it still has a lot of foliage and limbs, even though a significant amount of it was damaged in that storm. So let's go take a look at that. So there were quite a few trees that had like 1 or 2 limbs down or hanging off of the trees, like these really big ones behind me. But they they were fairly easy to clean up. I mostly wanted to just share the like big impact problem areas that we had. So we're gonna walk over to that area now, and then I think we'll end the video because the sun's going down, it's getting colder. So this tree right here is the one that had the most damage, and this whole area was completely covered in limbs. That little what is it, like 2 trees right there also had quite a bit of damage, but it was really this one. And you can see the remnants of, you know, these limbs that splintered off. And like this one that's coming out here that has this dead branch right in there. That's something that needs to come out, so if we get another ice storm, it doesn't come down. And there's quite a few just splintered off up in there. It was a huge job just removing all of the debris that was in here. We were very fortunate in that the only, and you can see it continues to just drop little pieces. The only marker that got hit was this one. It did knock over this top part of the pillar, but it didn't break it. It did damage the very top of this finial. However, the rest of it is all intact, and this marker was placed sometime around 1888. The little girl was an infant, and she died October 31st, 1888. So sometime after that marker was placed. So really fortunate that this is the only one that had any kind of damage, considering there are a lot of upright, this is a new upright military marker, but there's quite a few of upright markers around here that did not experience any damage. You can see that there's some big branches still coming down off of these trees, which is a little nerve-wracking because people do still come over here and visit their loved ones and their ancestors. I guess that's a enter at your own risk kind of a deal when you're walking around a cemetery that's nearly 150 years old, that has trees that are over 100 years old. There's gonna be some level of risk, you know, not just the trees, but the grounds are very uneven because, you know, when you have graves, they settle and sink. And so, you know, when you're walking around on these, especially the older cemeteries, you're going to find that it's not a really smooth walk. So you're always at a little bit of a risk when you're walking around on these old cemeteries anyway. Anyhow, I just wanted to give you a little update on the Eureka tree cleanup and how things are going around here. And like I said, I'm gonna pop in here next week and talk to you a little bit more about how nonprofit cemeteries are funded and how you might be able to help your own local cemetery, or a local maybe one of your ancestor cemeteries even, or just a cemetery that you love and enjoy and want to see preserved, and you want to help them out a little bit. So and I'll give you, if they don't have a capital campaign going, there's other ways that you can help help your cemetery be funded. And we'll talk about the difference between a nonprofit and a for-profit and a city-owned and all the different ways that privately owned cemeteries run their businesses. But I think that'll be a really good cold winter day kind of conversation to have, because whoo, it is chilly and my hands are frozen holding this camera. So that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're celebrating your life, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.